You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, my goodness, this is rather interesting that Sue Bird has brought this up to Kelsey Mitchell in light of some of the drama from a couple of days ago when Stephanie White was very clear and there was no confusion looking at anybody out there, including people on YouTube, that may think that was misconstrued, even though Stephanie White is the one that said these things. And I'm not going to go after specific YouTubers because that's not what I do. But the idea that people weren't going to take her words literally, stop it. I mean, we heard what she said. I'm not trying to decipher a Rubik's Cube when I listen to something. Well, there's some kind of a hidden message in there. No, I'm not Indiana Jones. I'm not looking for the lost ark. And if that sounds sarcastic, it's meant to be. I mean, come on. Now, you guys know how I feel about Kelsey Mitchell. I think she is a very dynamic volume shooter in the WNBA. And she had a hell of a season. I do believe in part because Caitlin Clark wasn't there taking some of those shots. All right, but nonetheless, she's a beast. Kelsey is a beast. They don't make it to the finals without her, I don't think. But nonetheless, in light of Stephanie White's remarks, I think that has led to these remarks from Kelsey Mitchell about Caitlin Clark. Now, Amber Cox has come out and said that their top priority is re-signing Kelsey Mitchell. I've got no issues with that. It's the building around Kelsey Mitchell that I took issue with because you got a generational Jordan-like talent on this team in Caitlin Clark. The Bulls did not choose to build around Scottie Pippen. All right? Look, the Blazers weren't building around Terry Porter. They were building around Clyde Drexler. I mean, the Knicks weren't building around Anthony Mason or John Starks or Derek Harper. They were building around Patrick Ewing. We could go on and on and on. The Celtics, my Celtics, weren't building around Kevin McHale. And Lord knows I love some McHale. They were building around Larry Bird. So let's check this out right here. Let me scroll down. Kelsey Mitchell was on with Sue Bird on the Bird's Eye podcast. And Kelsey Mitchell, in what seemed like sort of and look, Sue Bird's good at her job if this was a preconceived question because of the narratives right now. I just love people keep pushing weird narratives. No, look at your coach.
In your locker room. So what do you think, or do you feel like people sometimes just like overlook your leadership specifically and your impact on the team from like a chemistry standpoint because there's just so many narratives? So like, do you think people are overlooking that?
I think that in a short, yeah. I think naturally, yes, because of the society, the social media, and how bad people take to social media and abuse it in the wrong realm of light. And so I think that's one part of it. But I also think that
covering basketball teams is now abusing social media.
It was an adjustment period, and I talked to the FIBA organization about this. It's like I think it was an adjustment period that we all should have adjusted to throughout the course of the organization. I think that that was big for everybody. Pacers Entertainment, FIBA organization. I felt like at that time there was a lot of role playing that had to be situated. I feel like when something that big or someone that big who has that much impact comes into something, there are a lot of adjustments that people have to make on the floor, off the floor, in the locker room, in the training room. Just a lot of stuff is a lot of moving parts. And I think the biggest part that I respected about Kaylin is that she never was bigger than the program. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, it wasn't like she wasn't trying to take over. It wasn't, I don't know how to explain that. You know what I'm trying to say though?
Yeah, no, I know what you're trying to say. It's like she knows who she is. She comes in. She's going to obviously do her part because that's what being a professional athlete is. But with the understanding of fitting into a team, making sure we fit, making sure we have chemistry. So it's never bigger than like the group
it's like
itself.
She wasn't trying to be bigger than everybody. Like within our locker room, she wasn't trying to be bigger than anyone else. And I think the way that her style of play, it ended up complimenting me, ended up complimenting AB. And so like the one thing I love about Kaylin too is that we all love basketball the same way. We all have our different styles of way of playing it, but the passion for it with Kaylin when she didn't play compared to when she did play remained the same. And like I respected that about her because it could have easily not been that way. You have people that come in and not want to do or buy in once it's not, or once it don't go their way, or once unfortunate things happen and you can't play and injury happens and you're not getting your body the way you want to. And so I can respect the fact that she kept the program and she didn't let her passion for it waver because she ended up pouring in more than she thought. And it was dope because she could have easily not been that person.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I would build on what I was saying and add from what I'm hearing from you is like, she was like that way in the locker room too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it was like she wasn't trying to like, you could easily be a certain way and her thing was just like, like giving her best. Like she gave us like her best when she was in the locker room.
Okay. So I have no problem with any of those comments. I think they're sound comments. I don't think there's any animosity towards Kelsey Mitchell in the fandom. I don't sense that at all. I think Kelsey Mitchell is a fantastic complement player to Caitlin Clark. And I think you saw Aaliyah Boston. She certainly thrived more when Caitlin Clark was in the lineup because we saw that massive two-man game that we talked about so much when they play together, the Stockton-Malone dynamic, right? Stockton was always feeding Malone. And we saw that when Caitlin went out, Aaliyah, look, I can say one thing about Kelsey. When Caitlin went out, Kelsey jacked up her production and started grinding, which led to that situation, that health scare she had where they had to haul her off the court. She absolutely gave it everything. Aaliyah Boston's production dropped off the map when Caitlin Clark finally went out, and that was it because that catalyst was no longer there to feed Aaliyah Boston the ball. So I think this team is better, generally speaking, probably with all three of them. I do. Whether or not Kelsey decides to stay, I don't know. It may be the number one priority for Amber Cox, but is it the number one priority for Kelsey Mitchell? Kelsey may want to be the number one on a different team. Now, I would tend to believe that from a branding standpoint, it's more valuable for her to be a number two on what could be America's team. And I thought it was America's team for a while. And I think as far as the WNBA goes, it is America's team. But until they get some management issues sorted out, kind of got to pull back on that. Because we got to see if the Fever become aware that they can be America's team and they embrace that. And that's upper management, coaching, all of it. We'll have to see. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen because there's a lot of trust issues now between many Caitlin Clark fans and the organization because of how the injury was disclosed and handled and all that drama. I got to tell you right now, there is a massive portion of fans, and I'm not sure a lot of fans realize this. There's a massive portion of fans that are furious with the Indiana Fever and with the WNBA over how that injury was handled, and they kept stringing fans along. Fans are pissed off over that, and rightfully so for people that actually spent money on tickets, yeah, with the notion that she's going to be back. She's going to be back until she wasn't back. It felt very shady. There you go. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.